Oh my God, it doesn't end. It doesn't end. President Obama now, right? And Eric Holder. I don't know if you know who Eric Holder is. Chief of Justice. He looks like Washington from Barney Miller. Now they're bringing up federal charges on George W. Zimmerman. As if one loss ain't enough. Don't you understand? The FBI already investigated this as a race crime, and they came up with nothing. It's not a... Look, how can I explain? Look, you see this? Let it go. Just let it go. You know, Obama, you said that if you had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. What are you, some kind of genetic scientist that you can pre-tell what your kid looks like? You should have never stuck your nose in this. But since you want to, your hometown of Chicago, where brothers are killing brothers over there. African Americans are killing each other at an alarming rate. But you don't see Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Eric Holder and yourself, your hometown, remind you, making any kind of statement on that. Why is that? Because it's not popular. This made-up race case is popular. Last time I checked, George Zimmerman was Hispanic. Unless he took a magic pill that made him white, he's Hispanic. This was not racist case. It was racially motivated by Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. And if you check Al Sharpton's history of these race baiters, if you check his history, you'll notice that he's done way more harm than good. He's a failure. He ignites the fire and then runs after it and just sits there and watches. He's like an arsonist, but a racist. He ignites the fire and then runs and watches people as everybody fucking goes in an uproar. That's why this country is divided right now. Because of people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. And then Eric Holder. You want to start? I mean, look, you act like this happens every day. Fake or makeup. Listen. This doesn't happen every day. A white person who Zimmerman was Hispanic anyway does not kill a black, and by the way, teenager or a child. I hear these people call him a child now. He's a child is a 4 or 5 year old, not a 17-year-old young man. That is a young man. A child is 4, 5, or 6. Not fucking 17 years old, but it doesn't happen every day. And this is, like I said, another race crime. It's a Mexican security guard who shouldn't have followed him maybe, but he was doing his job and he didn't. Guess what? He was getting his ass kicked and he killed him. The case is over. You tried it, you lost. Accept it. Move on. But like I said, Obama, instead of worrying about your hometown Chicago, you want to follow suit with Eric Holder, Al Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson and turn this country into a more racial divide than it already has to be. And a lot of people ask me, say, well, I'm racist, I'm speaking up. No, I'm not racist, I'm speaking up. See, that's the problem with white people. That's why white people don't speak on racism. Because they don't want to be misconstrued or labeled as a racist. Because I'm going to be labeled as a racist either way. I don't give a fuck. I know I'm not a racist. So you can label me anything you fucking want. But when I see something wrong, I will call people out on it. The case was tried. You know what's funny? Sonny Houston, who's African-American legal on HS, or not HS, whatever, CNN, whatever. Looks pretty good, by the way. But she was praising these jurors of women, how great and how diligently they were working and how they're getting everything right. But after the verdict was read, she was not even happy with them. Oh, well, they didn't do it right, they rushed. How is that fun? You praised them 1 second. Now, how much you want to bet if they found him guilty? You would have been like, yeah, I told you. Women are 6 jurors, this and that. Bottom line is, this country is racially divided by people that are inciting it right now. Al Sharpton, the racist. He's a fucking arsonist that just sets the fire and watches it burn everybody apart. And he sits back because he can't do nothing else because he's a has-been and never was. And then Jesse Jackson, and then Obama, now you're jumping on this. Like I said, you got African Americans killing each other in Chicago. 100 a day from what I'm told. That may be a little high, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. But you haven't came out and made a statement on that. Why is that your hometown? I know if it was happening in Youngstown, Ohio, when I'm the future president, because I surmise I will be the president one day of this great country. If it happened in my town, I'll put a stop to it. But you don't even care. It's not popular. So Eric Holder, all the experts say what I'm saying. There's no chance. It's not racial. It's a made-up, trumped-up racial card here. You understand that? Zimmerman is Hispanic. The FBI already proved it was not racially motivated. Whether you want to believe it or not, try it again. And I heard a lady on CNN say, well, don't you think it's giving false hope to the Trayvon Martin family? It's just going to make it more disappointing for all of the supporters. Do you mean not disappointed, but more fucking riots? That's all that's going to happen if it gets trumped over again, which it will. There's going to be more riots. Do you understand the more harm than good you're doing here? You act like this happens every day. These people act like George Zimmerman was running after Trayvon Martin and said, I'm going to kill you, you fucking nigger. That's what you make George Zimmerman out to be. That's what you make him out to be, some racist lunatic running after him, calling him a nigger. That's what you want everyone to believe. But the fact of the matter was, he wasn't. He confronted him. Trayvon Martin punched him. It was proven in the court of law. He was banging his head off the cement. And Zimmerman, being a bitch, I'll admit he's a bitch, pulled out a gun and shot him. He should have took his ass beaten like a man, but had his choice of dying on there by blunt force trauma to the head or shooting the assailant, whatever. He chose to live. That does not warrant jail time. It was proven in the court of law. So President Obama, I know you watch this, you watch my videos, me and you, we talk sports. I know I don't talk to Obama, but me and him, he likes sports. And I like Obama, because Obama's a sports fan. So don't misconstrue this as me hating Obama. I may have made some videos in the past on Nick Romney, but that's just me fishing. Bottom line is I like Obama because he's a sports fan. I don't get along with this goddamn pick a sports team, the Bulls or the White Sox, whatever. But you like sports. Do your own hometown of justice. Get with the program. You got African-American teenagers killing each other. Black on black crime. But we don't want to talk about that. Oh, and by the way, I would like to link you in this to a white girl was killed by 2 African-American teenagers. Last year in Miami or Florida, somewhere. I think it was in Florida. I never heard a thing about that until one of my followers on Twitter showed it to me. Poor little white girl got her bike stolen and beaten to death by 2 African-American teenagers, right? You never heard nothing about that. The girl looked to be about 9 or 10 years old. That is a child. That is a child, not a 17-year-old young man adult, okay? Trayvon Martin was not a child. He was a young man who was physically stronger and physically bigger than George Zimmerman. Oh, by the way, real quick, George Zimmerman, you will never, ever, ever, your dream of ever, ever working in law enforcement is over. Because generally, law enforcement don't like people that just can't handle the situation. You prove the fact that you got your ass beat by a 17-year-old young man, got humiliated, got beat down, and you proved it right now in court. You had to shoot him. The FBI or the judicial, they don't want nothing to do with you right now. So your life's probably over. A lot of people don't talk about it. Zimmerman's life's over. It's over. He still got his life, but it's over. So, that's the problem. Like I said, white people don't want to get involved because they're going to be construed as a racist. I got news for you anyway. You're going to be construed as a racist regardless if you speak out or not. I speak out against black racists. I speak out against white racists. Racism has no color. You could be yellow, green, Mexican, Poisson, whatever. You don't matter. You could be a racist. If you're black, don't say you ain't going to be no racist. You ain't got no goddamn card on that. If you's racist and you're black, you's a black racist. Or as I call them, a blackist. If you's white and you's a racist, more than likely you're a fucking scum of the earth KKK member. Bottom line. I don't look at people as killers. In fact, I don't even like humans. I wish I was like, I am legend, last motherfucker alive on earth to be perfect. But I don't look at people as killers. In fact, all through my childhood, I actually had more friends that were black, African American, than white for some reason. Now, why is that? I don't know. I just had more friends that way. Maybe because I'm just a rougher, I don't know. I'm not going to get into this. I don't know. I'm just fucked up. I always was more friends with black people. Whatever. And still up to this day. Well, I'm about half-half now. I don't even have friends, I have acquaintances. So anyway, that's the video for today. President Obama do the right thing. Talk about the black teenagers, killing the black teenagers. Eric Holder. Barney Miller's over with. Washington, it's over with. Maybe you ought to just shave the mustache off, get a new job, because obviously when you're bringing federal charges up on a guy that was already proven innocent, already proved by the FBI wasn't racially motivated, maybe you ought to look into some future employment somewhere else, elsewhere. And to George Zimmerman, your life is over as any type of law enforcement officer. And to the people rioting, will you grow the fuck up? You did not know this child, or I should say young adult, personally. Grow up. You ride, oh, real quick, Roddy White, professional athlete. I see a lot of professional athletes talking shit in the media about this. Roddy White said that the 6 members of that jury should go home and kill themselves because they let a guilty man walk free. Well, Roddy, by your logistics and logic, them 6 women should kill themselves, which would mean their children would be motherless. Now, why would you tweet that? Like Herman Edwards says, don't push sand. Now, I'm not going to hold it. Roddy White is an adequate number 2 or 3 receiver in the National Football League. He's not a superstar like Julio Jones. I'm not giving him a pass, but I'm sure it was on the heat of the moment. But these other athletes, like Victor Cruz saying that, or whoever it was that said that he won't last 6 months, the hood's going to get him. Well, you athletes just shut the fuck up, all right? Shut. The people on the media get a hold of this shit, and your lives are over. Like I said, Roddy White's an adequate 2 or 3 receiver. So, I mean, it's not like he's ever going to be a superstar. But Victor Cruz, you're the number one receiver on your team. You need to be more fucking well. And Marcus Vick, well, you just shut the fuck up on Twitter. I mean, god damn it. All you're doing is crying about, oh, my brother got a year for killing dogs, this and that. And Zimmerman didn't kill no one. It was self-defense. Do you understand now? So anyway, people need to realize something right now. It was a fair trial. Casey Anthony should have been fucking found guilty. She wasn't. I didn't go crazy about it. There was no fucking riots. And how come when O.J. Simpson butchered his wife and Ron Goldman with a knife, butchered them, how come race was never involved in that case? No one ever talked about it being a racist crime. Black guy on two white people. You know why? Because it didn't matter. It wasn't looked upon like that because Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson weren't going to come out here and say it was a race matter. And the white leaders knew it wasn't a race matter. It was a jealous motherfucker, O.J. Simpson, who couldn't handle the fact that his wife was out fucking around on her ex-wife, found somebody else who was fucking him. So what do you do? Oh, I'm having a hard time. I know you're all happy. What did he do? He went out and butchered them. That's what he fucking did. And guess what? He got off. Where were the riots then? There was none. There was none. But when the officers in L.A. County got found innocent for beating up Rodney King, there were riots. Just ask Reginald Danny. There were fucking riots. So for real, the rioting needs to stop. I mean, I'd say more right now, but it's just to the point where I keep on repeating the same thing over and over. At what point will it get through your fucking heads? It's over. A young man, adult, lost his life in a battle one night. Zimmerman's life's over, Trayvon's Martin's life's over, but there are millions of white kids getting killed by black teenagers and no one talks about that. Now I'm out here to sit there and say we should talk about that. Like I said, that young white girl that got killed by them two African-American teenagers, if it was reversed, it'd be all over the news. And I'm going to tell you something. I would speak out on it, and I'd say it was a crime and travesty that two white kids took a poor little black girl's bike. I would say it was a crime and travesty. They should be lined up and killed. I would say that. But it didn't happen that way. Believe me, I'm not a racist. I don't care if you think I am one, but that crime there, when I seen the picture of that little girl, her bike was stolen and beaten to death by these two young African-American kids, that made me sick, and no one's ever talked about that. I don't know what happened to them two kids, but I pray to God they go to prison and don't get out for the rest of their lives, and I hope they end up by dying in that fucking prison. That's what I hope happens. Piccolo them motherfuckers, beating up a poor little kid for a fucking bike. A young African-American man basically beating up a poor little girl for a bike. Like I said, I don't give a fuck if it was worse. Two white kids beat up a poor little black girl. I'll say the same fucking thing. They should die in that prison. Fucking pick on kids. It's like pedophiles and rapists. Y'all motherfuckers are scumming everything in society. That's my rant. And I think it was a pretty good one. Then again, every fucking video I make is a good one.